So, hey y'all, hey, it's another episode of Bonafide Her Podcast featuring the one and only Cam Williams.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? Happy to be here. I am the network coordinator for both the Valkyries and the Warriors.
Hey, we love it here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Another day. I am getting ready for the Warriors later. I got a Warriors game, so just mentally getting prepped for that for a little bit later. But all around good day. Early morning. It's a good day so far. How about yourself?
Blessed to be alive, my God. This is the second episode of the triple header, so I'm blessed, woke, and everything. So we here, yeah. So, so let's get it started. So, Cam, can you tell us like kind of your sports journey and how you got to where you are?
Yeah. So back in college, I played football and some high school. I went to JUCO, and then it got cut short, tore my ACL. But when I was in school, I was focusing on all the schooling, so I had that as a side thing to jump on because I was at the JUCO level. I was in liberal arts, but when I transferred to San Francisco State, I went into broadcasting. And there's a program over there at SF State called the Becca program. It's broadcast and electronic communication arts. And through that program, they give you training through different forms of media, whether it be audio, video, and basically put you in the field. They give you hands-on training, and some opportunities you get paid opportunities as well. So I got my foot in the door with sports media through an internship at 95.7 The Game. So I had an internship class while I was at SF State. And during that time, I went through the internship, was at the radio station, seeing all these athletes coming in, even other celebrities from other stations that were in the building too. And they showed me how to do different things from cutting audio from interviews and helping run the board and things like that of that nature. And then I ended up leaving, and then I moved around from different radio stations, from music to news, radio, all these different things. And then I seen that the game had an open opportunity. So I came back and I applied, and knowing that I had all this experience under my belt, I came back as a producer, and they retrained me again. So I just started running everything as a producer and things of that nature. And then later down the line, the Warriors network coordinator role opened up. And they knew that I had experience running all these shows and all these different productions. So they ended up hiring me for the Warriors network coordinator role. And so I've been running all the games, because last year I used to work on those broadcasts, but I wasn't on the board running. I was just editing highlights. So a lot of times I would edit the highlights that you would hear played on the radio, not just for our station, but a lot of these highlights you would hear with the NBA. They would be sent to the NBA, whether it's played in arenas, played on commercials, all those types of things, and whatever promos they may make. And then with the Warriors situation, they trained me. I seen how they ran the Warriors broadcast, and then we were working on that all last season. So that was my first season in that particular role as a network coordinator. The next thing I know, my boss let me know. He's like, "Hey, we're going to be working with the Valkyries. Are you interested in doing the Valkyries games?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to run the Valkyries games," because it's a new thing to the Bay Area. It's the first WNBA team that we've had out here. I mean, we have the Pro-Am leagues with the ladies. We've had all these other leagues around here with the ladies balling out as well. But this is the first WNBA team. And I'm like, yo, hell yeah. So as much as it was their inaugural season, it was also my inaugural season too. But basically, my experience running with the Warriors radio broadcast team, some of them were also helping with the Valkyries broadcast team as well. So my familiarity helped me transition into the role to help with the Valkyries productions, which has been a blessing. And then aside from radio, the other thing I do is I do photography, I do filming. So I've been able to go to different training camps and just go to team practices, whether it be with the Valkyries, the Niners, the Warriors, and just all around. My ability with the camera has helped open a lot of doors. So I always tell people, like, if you're looking into getting into sports, pick up a camera, pick up some microphones, contact local schools, whether it be high schools, junior colleges, local colleges, and see if you can get a media credential and appear at some of these games and practices. And that's what I was doing while I was running around trying to get more experience.
Man, I love the reaction. You're like, somebody asked you, you want to help the Valkyries? You said, hell yeah. I am here for it. I mean, man, when I tell you, it was like, yo, I would be there too. I was like, I'm here for it. Like, yes, we having a WNBA team here. It's the first one.
Yep.
Yes. Because it's interesting because, like, First of all, like, with the whole, like, usually when a team that first starts, they're projected to have, oh, it's a first season. They're not gonna go in the playoffs. It's not, it's not even capable.
Hmm.
But to see them make the playoffs first season, and the
Yes.
team that they had, it like the team that they had, they described it as just a veteran team, because a lot of the team, a lot of the girls that was on the team, they were veterans of, from players that played long time. So from your first experience, as a radio coordinator for the Valkyries, your inaugural season, what was that like to just be part of that inaugural season for the Golden State Valkyries?
It was amazing because even now I have to reflect back at what happened during that season because I'm focused on working and just knocking things out and just getting it under my belt. But I had to remember, like, Cam, you're the first. I think to myself, I'm the first network coordinator in the history for the Valkyries, the radio network coordinator. I'm the first one, the only one so far. Now, with the Warriors, there's been tons of them over time, but with the Valkyries, it's new. So being a part of that's been such a blessing. And then the sellout games that they've had, every single game, there was some sort of record being broken or some sort of record being etched into their history. So literally every single game was some sort of historical piece to their history that we were seeing unfold, whether it be each game, for example, right? Each game was being sold out. So we were keeping a track record. We would mention it on the broadcast. They would mention it on the broadcast. You'd have Kevin Dana and Sophia Jones, who were the play-by-play callers and the color commentators, and they would talk about the different storylines going on with the Valkyries and the rest of the WNBA. So we would have the games being sold out, the games being so loud, the type of energy that the fans were bringing since it was new and it was fresh. It was something for them to have because, when you look at the Warriors leaving Oakland, right? They left Oakland. The A's and the Raiders left Oakland. So it
Mm-hmm.
left a hole in the Bay Area sports. I mean, we got the Niners, Giants, Sharks, all these other teams already here, but there was still a void left out there. So when the Valkyries came to Chase Center, they turned it up every game. It sounded like it was a playoff game every single home game. Even if they lost, the fans were there in heavy support. And I feel like it's just a testament to Bay Area sports in general. I don't know what it is being up here in Northern California with Bay Area sports. The fans around here, when they're a fan of the team, they're a fan of the team. They'll hold it down no matter what, because it reminded me of the old days of the Warriors at Oracle Arena when they were struggling. Even when
Mm-hmm.
they were struggling, fans were coming out there supporting heavily. And to see all these veteran players ball out. And I think that's the other thing that the rest of the WNBA and maybe some commentators out there overlooked. A lot of these players are veteran players. They have experience. You look at a player like Kayla Thornton. She has experience winning a championship, so she has that type of veteran experience. You have Veronica Burton, you have Kayla Charles, you have all these players, you have Tiffany Hayes, you have all these players that can ball out, that have this experience, and then they were helping the younger players as they were coming in. Hell, even Monique Billings,
Mm-hmm.
defensive baller. All these ladies got all these skills, they got all this experience, they know what it takes. So to see them mesh well with Natalie Nakase easily, like just seeing what happened with the season with the 23 and 21 season, it just shows you, how powerful being a veteran is and how powerful having that experience can be in the long run.
For sure. And the head coach being the first, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the first Asian head coach
Mm-hmm.
in WNBA history. But, it's just, and, you know, she came from, I believe, the UCLA background, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
just taking her talent and being a head coach for a whole new team, veterans, like you just said, Kyla Charles, Tiffany Hayes, Veronica Burton, Kayla Thornton, and then you had Kate Martin coming from
Yes.
the Aces that, you know, the numbers blew up too with, like you said, records, like everybody showing up, showing out, and
Mm-hmm.
making the playoffs. Like I ain't gonna lie, the colorway, the purple and black, that was a fire. That's a fire colorway right there. I was like, I like that. It's like just sophisticated, classy, but we got you though.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And even to add to the with the different records being broken, they had the all-time record for home attendance with 22 sellout or 22 or 23 sellout games. They're, the first and the first expansion team to get in the playoffs in the way they did, because there was an expansion team a long time ago that
mhm,
had their amount of wins. I can't remember which team it was, but we ended up beating that record for how many wins an inaugural team has. They had the Natalie Nakase, the coach of the year. And
yeah.
then we even had a game where we hit 16 3-pointers alone in one game, and that was already enough. Like, at least for our record books with the Valkyries, that's already etched into the history. So boom, that 16, that's a number they have to beat for the following season and after that.
Do you hope to see more, with the Valkyries being established? And honestly, I hope Charlotte Steen comes back because where I'm at, like, that's bring back the Sting. Do you hope to see more, more opportunities for the WNBA, especially for women that want to continue to play the sport?
Yes, because after this is my first season being really locked into the WNBA. I have a lot of buddies who are hoopers who knew about the WNBA, NBA, and WNBA, so they watched all of it. I didn't always get a chance to watch it, but now since I was working, I was really locked in. So I'm seeing it's more than just the X's and O's like in any other sport. You got your X's and O's, and then you also have the money side. And now I'm seeing this. I'm seeing how, I mean, honestly, it is a cutthroat business because there's so many women who are ballers. They got the skills to be in the league, but they don't have teams. And I'm sitting there like, yo, what is going on? Even with Charles had to keep signing 7-day or 14-day contracts. And this was all new to me. I'm like, these players are good enough to be on some professional teams. So why aren't they on teams? So when I see players get cut and they're floating around from team to team, I'm like, what is going on? They should be on a team. So my thing is, with everything happening, all the eyes on the league right now, currently, all the sponsors happening, all the new blood that's coming in, whether you're looking at Angel Reese or you're looking at Juju, even though she hasn't been in yet, it's so many eyes on the league currently right now, even Paige,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot more money and opportunities are coming. And then the fact that you have expansion teams now, and that's what I was hoping for. You got 3 expansion teams coming, I believe, Philadelphia, Cleveland, and Detroit now. And then you also have 2 expansion teams coming in this year with the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire. And then looking at the success of the Valkyries, I see how it is causing a domino effect, because the Valkyries, they brought in tons of money. I think they were number 1 in how much money was coming into the league. And I was like, yo, with all this money and all these contract talks, and then with Nafisa Collier, leading that charge, there should be a lot more money coming in for these ladies. And there should be expansions, not only to the league of teams, but expansions to the rosters. Because I think the minimum is 11 and the maximum is 12. They
Mm-hmm.
should bump that up higher than that. You
Yeah,
know, um, there's a lot of space here. So I'm excited for the expansion teams and for more opportunities for there to be for all the ladies out there. Because it doesn't make sense how there's a lot of players who they can call on, when it comes to playoffs. I mean, it's cool that you can call on a player who's ready to go, but the players who are ready to go should already be on a team. It just doesn't make sense. But hopefully it changes these following seasons as it continues to grow, and they'll have players and a lot more money that's coming in. So I'm excited to see what happens.
for sure. And first of all, we got B called out everything that was needed in the most elegant, but in the most just precise way. Because, like, for her to do what she did and just, yes, I always say yes. Because, the fact that there's so many opportunities that it shouldn't, like, the fact that there's only 12 spots. And like you're saying, like, there's so many players that are getting cut or have to resign all over. Like the fact that Caitlin Chen, I remember when she got drafted
Mm,
by, and then she gets cut, but yet during that time, her jersey was one of the best sellers.
mhm.
And then all of a sudden they bring her back. So it's like, make it
What's
make sense.
Yeah, what's going on? And there, even Letitia Me here, she was a premier player in the preseason games, and I'm like, okay, she's balling like she could do something. And they cut her. I'm like, yo, what's happening? But they ended up bringing her back, and she showed that she was an impact player. And then again, this was happening across the league with so many players, and so many players that I remember seeing from WNBA. I mean, from their college days. I've seen their highlights of them balling. I'm like, okay, this player is going to be a problem in the league. They're going to be a factor. They proved that they were factors on teams, and then they were just being pushed around. I'm like, what is going on? But hopefully, again, it'll change. And even out here in Oakland, we have another league that they're hoping to make like a women's G League. I feel like it's turning into that. Gary Payton is invested into it. It's the Women's Premier Basketball League or Basketball Association, the WBPA. So there's I don't know how many teams there are, but there are a lot of players going to that right now, and they're trying to make something of that. So hopefully that can also be something that helps blow up everything too in a good way.
For sure. And my question, and leads to my question, what kind of really, what inspired you to be an advocate for women's sports?
Oh, after just being a part of this season, and then even looking back at a lot of women's sports, people always say, "Oh, women's sports is boring. It's boring." It's not. It's not boring for one. If you're into sports, you're gonna enjoy it. You know. And then so many of these ladies like Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, I've heard a lot of their names plenty of times, and I've seen them on promos plenty of times. So now that I'm seeing what they can do, I'm like, yo, people should be investing in them. And they're real great people once you get to talk to them and hear what they're all about. So just having that support, especially like in a world where everything's dominated by mainly men's sports, women's sports should get as much support as they can. And even as a fan of the NBA, there's so many Valkyries games that I've seen where a lot of the Warriors players were there at the game, such as Brandon Pajemski, Steph Curry. A lot of guys were supporting and things like that. And then vice versa, the WNBA players would come to NBA games, watching on the sideline and things like that. And then even my cousin, she had played sports at one point. A lot of women I knew growing up played sports, so I always definitely felt that it was important to support women's sports and to invest into that. To show up when I could, and even other people always encourage them like, "Hey, show up, go to these games," because the games are turned up, but people have all these stigmas and all these views, these narrow views that they have, like talking about lower the hoop and it'll be interesting if they can dunk. I don't care if they can dunk or not. They turning it up. When you are following these games, these storylines of what's happening, you're invested. I know people say baseball is boring, but when you see what's going on, what's happening, what the stakes are, it's interesting. Same thing with WNBA. It's interesting when you know what's going on, you'll be locked in. And for all my male partners and homies who are basketball fans, they were locked in onto the WNBA for years because there's so many ballers out there and so many ball handlers, so many shooters, so many rim rackers. There's so many players out there that can ball. So being able to give them the support is a beautiful thing. And then the fact, again, the first WNBA team coming out here to the Bay Area and to be a part of that history, it's so dope and exciting. Like, like I'm excited for season 2 or the next season. So just to see what's going to happen now. So, and I'm even excited to see what the league's going to do with the new expansion teams. Because when I seen that they were coming this following season, I was hyped because I'm like, okay, more opportunity, more money for them, more people getting contracts, and just more players. So it's going to be exciting for sure.
For sure. A lot of people don't remember this, but Portland Fire used to be a team back in the day, back in the 90s before they folded. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
So
that's crazy.
it's
And
it
I
used to be.
started going on like a search of like older WNBA teams that I feel should be in the league currently,
Hmm.
especially when you look at the Houston Comets, right?
Yeah.
Like they won how many? They won 2 to 3 championships or four?
Four,
Four?
four
They won
straight.
four championships, and they are currently not a team.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So WNBA, if you're looking for another expansion team, bring them back. Once you see all these other teams bring them in, bring the Comets back. you know,
It's interesting they want Detroit back, which is interesting because like, well, they used to have the Detroit Shock,
hmm
and then like, and then it became Tulsa Shock, and then it's like, well, like it's just interesting because a lot of the teams that used to be there, like Portland Fire, Miami Soul, the Orlando Miracle, the Sacramento Monarchs, and Charlotte Sting, and it's like had all these teams, and then everybody wants them back, which is understandable because
hmm
like more opportunity. And this leads to my question for you, especially you mentioned you went to JUCO, you played football. Like, from your experience, what would you say is some of the misconceptions when it comes to JUCO competition?
I think some of the misconceptions is that well, that's a good question. Um, that there's no opportunity, that you can't transfer and play. When I was at the JUCO level, there were so many players that were transferring and getting their units. They were knocking things out. You could save a lot of money playing at the JUCO level. You can get your early college experience playing at the JUCO level. A lot of people look at the junior college level as losing your opportunity. No, you're gaining opportunity. You're gaining experience. I went to a junior college called LMC, Los Medanos College. The acronym they would call it is Lost My Chance. No, you didn't lose your chance. You're making an opportunity. You're making your chance. You're saving money. You're getting your units. You're getting all that college experience while doing everything else you need to do. And then by the time you transfer and they give you a long laundry list of things, you're looking at it like, okay, I got to go to the treasurer. I got to write this essay. I got to go over here. I got to go over there. I'm like, okay, boom. You already got that experience. You don't have that freshman fear trying to figure it out. You already got it already figured out, and you just transfer. I mean, you got your people that you call on, but you just transferred and you're already handling business. You're on the ground running already. And the JUCO, the junior college, community colleges are very beneficial because there's so many resources there that people
Mhm.
don't want to use. So people out there, use those community colleges, utilize all of those resources. Don't just look at it as something that you're a throwaway. No, you're building your resume, you're building your experience that will help you at the next level. A lot of people don't have that when they're coming in straight from high school. So for you to do that at the community college and have all these resources, utilize them. The community college has all these tools. I don't think people realize that. They talk down on it, but it has all these tools and resources for you to be successful if you use it the right way.
For sure, because man, people don't understand. JUCO bring out the dogs in people. Like
Mhm,
it's like they had a lot of them play like everything. They got everything to lose, but they got everything they can gain too at the
mhm.
same time.
Even to add to that, because of that, people are more hungry. People are hungry because they are trying to get out of there because they only have the 2 years of eligibility. They want to be smart with how they use their years, from the red shirts and all the other years, because these 2 years or a year or however long, it's very critical. So people are locked in and it's very serious and it's very competitive. Some schools, I know, they have situations where they might send players back from the 4 year to fix some units or to fix some credits and grades and get them some more experience, and they come in the JUCO level balling because they're at that other level, and then they can go back later. So people are hungry. They're looking for those deals and those contracts and those scholarships and things of that nature.
Absolutely. So, and this leads to my question. So, I always say that athletes are humans first. But it leads to my question. How important is mental health?
Mental health is extremely important when it comes to athletes. I think people overlook that because there's so many pressures that you're dealing with as an athlete, right? So you're focused on trying to balance your own schedule out, from the classes, the practices, the games itself, right? And then the pressure of performing, the pressure of executing on that court or on that field. And then the other thing is, when you aren't performing, you start to become hard on yourself, because we all have our personal standards. Our coaches have standards. Our coworkers have standards. Our bosses have standards. Everyone has standards of what we want to do when we perform. And we've seen it so many times where athletes start losing it, aren't performing, and they start to become hard on themselves mentally. And then you also have the chatter from the media and the fans. All that stuff becomes weight on you. And then, of course, everything that you may have experienced in your journey from when you were a child to adulthood, a lot of stuff, a lot of trauma you may have gone through, but didn't realize how it affects you. And then it starts to weigh in and hit you tough. So, as an athlete and as athletes out there, I feel like it's important to look into your mental health, not only your physical health, but your mental health, because your mental health also affects your body too. You could become sick physically if you're not taking care of your mind and your spirit and things of that nature. So, taking that time to really check in on yourself, check in on your teammates, check in on your people, and to make sure that they're good, especially with all the pressures and all of the influences all around. that are constantly knocking and barking at the door. It becomes a lot. So make sure, athletes out there, take your time to process things. Take your time to unplug, unwind. Hell, even unplug from social media. Sometimes social media can be too much. Sometimes there's so much information being sent your way. So many comments. We've seen athletes comment and respond to trolls. We've seen
Mhm.
athletes and comments respond to haters online. Sometimes just don't do it because they want you to respond, and then you got all these people in your DMs sending you threats or sending you hateful comments. So make sure you, as athletes, take time to unplug and unwind. Have your self-care days, you know, everything. It's very important. Talk to some professionals, talk to your teammates, talk to the veterans, the coaches. They're all there for your support. Everyone's there and they've gone through these things too. So when it comes to mental health, people, please look into that. Please take your time with yourself. Pat yourself on the back. You matter. you know we all care, so make sure you are investing in that as well. So definitely something for a lot of the athletes to look into. Continue looking into that mental health, especially even if you hurt yourself and you injure yourself. That's when a lot of the challenges come too. And that in that dark place when you're dealing with your injury and your rehab, that's
Mhm.
probably where the most light's going to come, because that's going to help you out in the long run.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you for sure about it because we've already seen like recently like we saw like the recent passing of a and professional athlete, dealing with mental health, and I think a lot of people need to really understand that athletes are humans first because they they have feelings just like everyone else, and I think if you know I was just talking to someone earlier, you know people don't understand when like words have power, especially when I see so many fans cross the line with so many things to
Hmm.
where they just like say just anything out of the blue and don't think like their actions can cause so much mishaps, and it's like you try being in that game where you have to take the game winning shot and you miss.
Hmm.
And you were the same person that was like, oh, I would have made it. Oh, okay. Let's see if you could make that. Or, it's just, the craziness, like where there's some athletes that can't even bring their families around to their games because fans are so ruthless.
Yeah.
Or people are just so ruthless. Like, so and it leads to my question for you, like, you do both the Valkyries and the Warriors. What would you say is the difference in, working the games for both teams?
A small difference that I noticed: the Warriors games get loud at Chase Center, but they're not as loud as Oracle. The Valkyries games get super loud. They get as loud as Oracle, probably even louder. So when I'm in their headsets and I'm talking to the senior producers or the play-by-play callers, I'm having to yell in their ear. I mean, I do that for the Warriors games too when the Warriors are on their runs, but the Valkyries games get so loud and they get packed out, and everyone's wearing the gear. I noticed that with a lot of NBA games, not everyone's wearing the gear. At Chase Center, it annoys me when I'm looking at the photos and the videos. Everyone on the sideline wearing their button ups, their collars, their vests, their cardigans. I'm like, okay, are you guys fans, or are you just coming here because it's your leisure, because you got something to do? Are you a legit fan? I want to see some more jerseys. I want to see some more blue and gold, or white or something. Put on a jersey, put on the t-shirts, wear the shirts, the playoff shirts or something. But with the
Hmm.
Valkyries, everybody was coming up in there dressed up, dressed out, came up in there suited and booted. They had their customs on, all this crazy stuff. It was fun. So I mean, I'd say it's mainly just the energy level and the fan participation. That's probably the only difference. But the energy, it's fun, like just being a part of the both teams, like Bay Area, being in the area. So, Golden State just handling business. So it's fun. I'd say that's probably like the only thing. It's maybe just slightly some energy, but that's it.
That's real right there. I mean, you know, because it's like, Valkyries, it's like, yeah, we here, but then, like, I could be wrong though, but then, you know, a lot of people that would be in the Warriors is like you said, so where is y'all blue, yellow, white? Where is it? Like, where is it? Like, I can't tell if y'all really fans or y'all just like, what is this?
And then I'll see it too across other teams too. And I'm like, dude, why is everyone not wearing the colors? I mean, people will wear the colors higher up. So I feel that if they maybe, across the league, the whole league, if they drop those prices, you'll get the real authentic fans in there, not the seasonal fans, not the bougie fans. You'll get the
The
real deal people
the
who are
bougie
real
fans,
sports
he's
fans. And those
saying.
are the people you're supposed to have at these games, at these arenas, at these
Hmm.
football games, basketball games, baseball, because they're the ones that can be loud and proud. And that's what the Valkyries fans are. They're definitely loud and proud to be Valkyries. And this is the first season, and they loud and proud like that. So I can only imagine what it's going to be like for the rest of the seasons, because we've seen teams, professional teams, where even college teams, where the arenas are so loud that the other team can't get the snap off, can't get the count off, can't even talk during the timeout because the other
Right.
team is so loud. You can't even run their plays. So that's going to help us in the long run if we get home field advantage or home court advantage when it comes to playoffs.
I know that's right. That's funny. He said bougie fans. We like, man, because Lord have mercy, bougie fans. I've seen some bougie fans. Like, why y'all not? Okay, never mind. Never mind. It's okay. It's all right. Y'all got some nice seats. Kudos. Like, just share them along the way. You could just give other people the experience. Um, but my question for you is, if there was a word or a phrase to describe your journey so far, what would it be?
That's a good question. Oh, resilience. Resilience. That's my journey so far. Resilience, because I remember at one point I had left radio briefly for like a year. And during that year, it was tough because I was working Amazon. I even used to teach too. I was teaching. I left that job too. And then I had to bounce back financially because I had bought all this equipment and I had all these medical bills, all these bills in general. But I realized I had to be resilient and just go through that journey to try to fix everything. But resiliency. And then even with these Warriors and the Valkyries games, there was challenges in the production, things where I had to figure it out right on the fly, right on the go. And I had to be resilient to figure these issues out and these problems out, because a lot of these things, you have your problems that happen with productions already, right? Natural issues. You have your contingency plans for things that happen, right? But what if something new comes onto the board? It's like, how do you have that resiliency to adapt and to learn and grow during those times? It's like in those challenging times, those tough times, that resiliency is what's going to help you in the long run, no matter what field you're in. But even for like my journey with radio and media, it's the resiliency, whether I'm dealing with any personal issues on the outside, personal issues inside. It's just the resiliency and the being able to survive and the adaptability. And I feel like that also connects to a lot of the sports side too. A lot of these athletes are resilient. They survive, they adapt, they fight. And, as long as you have some resiliency like I had in my own personal journey, you should be able to get anywhere, no matter what you're doing. But resiliency, that's the word I got.
Man, that is the. I have heard so many people use that word. I'm like, this might be the word of the year for so far from every guest, almost every other guest I've had. I was like, resilience. That's such a great word. Resilience. Resilience. I was like, that's such a great word. It's like so added to that vocabulary. It's like, because it's
Yeah.
real. Like, you know, it's when you're able to persevere to be able to continue to do what you love to, like, you know, and there's a lot of things, a lot of things are inevitable, but however, how you bounce back is always like, that's what the part that counts. Like how you bounce back is, as what's it called, Alex? What's it? Big Sean said, took a L the other day, but I bounced back or something like
Yeah.
that. It's like,
Yep.
it's like, yeah,
And
I take my little L, but I'm gonna bounce back real quickly. So
and I'll even say, with us being athletes, former athletes, having that experience, people don't realize that no matter what level of sports you play, sports are synonymous with everyday life. Sports are synonymous with life, because remember, when a coach brings you in after practice, brings in all the whole team, they're giving you advice for on the court or the field, but they're also giving you life advice if you listen to the nuggets they're saying. So when you're playing sports, you learn how to time manage, you learn how to prioritize, you learn how to have resiliency, perseverance. You know how to work hard. You learn how to work hard. You learn how to look at the positives and the negatives. You see all these challenges. Life has a lot of challenges. And even on the court, when we're playing, there's so many challenges. You might have a script for what you want to do in the game. You
Mhm.
might draw up something on the board, like, okay, this is where I'm gonna go. This is the next job I'm gonna have. This is the next opportunity I'm gonna create. This is the next thing I got to do, right? But just like in any game, it's not going to go like that. So you got to be willing to adapt and be able to move and shake and make different moves and just do different things. It's just all sports. I mean, it's sports and life in general. It's so connected that being athletes, our coaches and even what we've seen in games prepares us for everyday life. And I remember when I tore my ACL, uh, I was so focused on trying to rehab to get that strength back and also come back to be able to be eligible to play. So I remember a guy had asked me, he's like, Cam, why do you have such a positive mindset? I mean, I told him, it's just, I can't be angry during this situation. This is what it is. I got to deal with this. So if I'm angry, I'm not going to create a solution. But if I'm positive and I'm just working, there's some solutions. So trying to be solution uh, focused as opposed to, you know, uh, be a problem solver as opposed to being a problem starter. But yeah, so having that connection with sports, I feel like sports gives us that edge in life in general because we can compete with ourselves. We could push ourselves when needed and things like that. But yeah,
That's real right there. Because I always say, sports is one of those things where it's such a powerful tool that you're able to connect with so many people. Like, if you play the sport, like, you're able to grow with somebody else that played the same sport as you. You're able to grow like connections or have a sisterhood or brotherhood and all that stuff. So that's real right there. And also, Bonafide means authentic unique. But for the men, I always bring the authenticity. Oh, please tell me I said that right. But I stumbled. It's okay. I always say this podcast is raw real because I'm gonna have bloopers. It happens. So I'm like, this is what it makes it very joyful. It's real.
yeah.
So, but what makes Cam Williams authentic and what makes your story stands out?
What makes me authentic is my ability to adapt and grow, my ability to be a student and just be a lifelong learner. I always pride myself in that. Like, I always want to learn. It doesn't matter whether you have less experience than me, more experience than me, you're younger or older. I always want to learn. And that's what makes me authentic because I appreciate everybody around me because there's something to learn from everyone. You know what I'm saying? Some sort of life advice, some sort of nugget to help me keep going. I look at everybody else and what they got going on. I don't want to get jealous about what everyone has on their plate because when I see them winning, I'm like, okay, they're winning. I can do the same thing. I might do something totally different in a different field. But seeing someone that I know win or someone that's kind of close in proximity win, I'm like, okay, that's some success right there. I can have success too as long as I keep going. And I feel like just that makes me authentic. Just being able to be 10 toes down in what I got going on and be willing to learn from everyone all around me. Like, I appreciate everyone teaching me something. Even if I already know something, I just pretend and act like I just don't know and always open to being taught something new. Or even if I know it again, if they're telling me something I know, I'll just listen to it to hear how they deliver it. But that's what makes me authentic, just being a lifelong learner and student to the game.
Hey, I know that's right. Hey, you always learn something new every day for real.
Exactly.
So Mr. Cam, can you let the folks know where they can find you, follow you, if there's any upcoming events happening?
Yeah, so if you want to follow me or find out any updates with what's going on with me, follow me on IG or Twitter at Cam is Coolin. That's CAMISCOOLIN, and just lock in with me there. Shoot me a message about something, and then yeah, we can get tapped in for sure.
Y'all heard it from the man here first. So y'all be sure to follow Cam Williams at Cam is Coolin on Instagram and social media. Be sure to check him out, of course, on the radio. If you in the Bay Area, be sure to check him out for the season with the Warriors and, of course, the Valkyries. Y'all be sure to, support him, doing amazing things, of course. So, and big shout out to Cam Williams for coming on the podcast to share your story. You guys could check out the live replay of Bonafide Her podcast, episode 190, featuring Cam Williams after this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.